No let them touch you. I like them, they tell you. Carry your piggy come up for here. Carry your piggy come on, madam. They like you.
In the tense environment of a hospital operating room, where a young woman is in labor, is where our story begins. Anticipation quickly turns to heartbreak when the delivery ends in a stillbirth. Her anguished cries echo through the room, a painful end to a journey she had approached with hope and caution. From this sorrowful scene, we transition to a lighter yet complicated moment with two teenage lovers, Adana and Obiora. Young and naive, they have indulged in mommy and daddy activities. Adana discovers she is pregnant and Obiora is stunned. But his love for her is genuine. He promises to stand by her side, determined to navigate this unexpected turn together. However, her parents react with disappointment, seeing only a tainted future for the daughter they had high hopes for. Feeling lost and overwhelmed, Adana seeks solace in Obiora's home, only to find his mother resolute and unsympathetic. In a harsh confrontation, the woman blames Adana, accusing her of seducing her son into irresponsibility. Obiora, she says, has been sent away to another city to avoid the consequences. As Adana turns to leave, Obiora's sister secretly slips her his new address. With nowhere else to turn, Adana decides to leave for Lagos in search of Obiora. She packs her belongings in silence, giving a final hug to her little sister before disappearing without a word to her sleeping parents. However, upon reaching Lagos from Abia State, she learns that Obiora has moved yet again, leaving her stranded in the city and quickly running out of money. Desperate, she finds a job as a cleaner and also secured a small room to live in. Yet, as her pregnancy becomes more visible, accompanied by morning sickness, her employer discovers the truth and fires her for lying. Without an income, Adana soon faces eviction and is forced back onto the streets. Meanwhile, a lavish charity event unfolds, attended by Dr. Oliver Evans and his wife, Barbara, wealthy white foreigners and the founders of the Evans Foundation Clinic. On the surface, their clinic appears to support pregnant women and facilitate adoptions. However, beneath the polished facade, their practices are illegal, sustained by bribes and their significant influence in a country where laws are easily bent. Niger Ahelu. Also present at the event are Charisse, a celebrated UK-based actress, and her husband, Aki, who doubles as her manager. Despite her public success, Charisse's personal life is shadowed by the pain of infertility and 5 heartbreaking miscarriages. Attempts to adopt have been thwarted by Akin's past drug charges. Their struggles make frequent headlines. Yet, a ruthless blogger, Joy, from joytotheworld.com, seizes every opportunity to mock Charisse's childlessness. Back on the streets, Adana faces another blow. Her few remaining belongings are stolen. A sympathetic prostitute, touched by her plight, offers to help the following day, once her shift is over. Back at the charity event, Dr. Evans is honored with the Humanitarian of the Year award. The applause and admiration are bittersweet for Charisse, who quietly escapes to the restroom to collect herself. There, she encounters Barbara, and their conversation shifts to shared struggles and unfulfilled desires for motherhood. Seizing the moment, Barbara subtly hits at a way to bypass the usual complicated adoption process, a chance for Charisse to finally have the child she has longed for. Akin understands the implications of Barbara's offer. It means cutting corners, sidestepping legal boundaries. He advises Charisse to wait for a response from another adoption agency they've applied to, hoping for a legitimate solution. But Charisse's patience is worn thin. She has already sacrificed so much for her career. If giving it all up would make her a mother, she would do it in a heartbeat. The next day, true to her word, the prostitute returns for Adana. She leads her to the Evans Foundation Clinic, a referral for which she is paid handsomely. Revealing her role as a regular recruiter, as she leaves, a woman named Ify, who has been tirelessly searching for her missing sister, watches from a distance with suspicion evident in her gaze. Exhausted, malnourished, and desperate. Adana is overwhelmed with gratitude when Barbara offers her food. The kindness feels like a lifeline, but Barbara's generosity extends further. A place to stay, proper medical care, consistent meals, and a promise to help her give her child up for adoption if she chooses. During a medical checkup, Barbara discreetly discovers that Adana is carrying twins, but keeps this information to herself. Adana is captivated by the clinic's beautifully designed nursery and the sight of healthy, lively children, a clear contrast to the harsh streets she would have had her baby. Just as she begins to trust Barbara's promises, a heavily pregnant girl named suddenly grabs her, desperately wanting her to flee with her baby. Barbara quickly explained that the girl is mentally unstable. Another girl named Ebu reassures Adana that the clinic is a safe haven. Ebu is revealed to be the woman from the beginning of the story, the one who suffered a stillbirth. Conflicted yet vulnerable, Adana reluctantly agrees to stay, and a nurse named Chinedu escorts her away. Meanwhile, Ify approaches Barbara, seeking information about but Barbara, hiding behind the pretense of patient confidentiality, refuses to divulge anything. Frustrated but unwilling to give up, Ify leaves a missing persons flyer with Barbara, who carelessly tosses it into the trash. By now, Adana has been given a bath and fresh clothes. As she marvels at the comfort of a new room, a hopeful smile spreads across her face, unaware of the sinister reality she has unknowingly entered. The following morning, Adana's personal belongings are taken, leaving her with only the pictures of her family. Ebun gives her a tour of the facility, which starkly contrasts the luxury of the previous night. This part of the clinic resembles a prison more than a sanctuary. To Ebun, who was the first girl brought to this place, it has somehow become home. Adana is assigned a bunk in a shared room filled with other pregnant women, known here as the Makers. On her first day, she crosses paths with Aishat, a former exotic dancer and the group's resident bully, who tries to take Adana's bunk. Adana's refusal sets the tone for her days ahead, as Aishat promises to deal with her. Elsewhere, Aki and Sharice finally receive a response from the adoption agency, only to face yet another rejection. The blow deepens the cracks in their relationships, as Akin suggests they refocus on their growing careers. Hollywood is within their grasp, but Sharice's heart longs for a child more than the fame they've worked so hard for. Back at the clinic, Adana learns the strict rules. Certain areas are off limits, and all contact with the outside world is forbidden. No phones, no connections. While exploring, she stumbles upon a room furnished with a table fitted with restraints and walls marked by frantic handprints. When she asks Ebu about it, she receives a vague response. The area is out of bounds and no explanations are given. Adana's unease grows, fueled by the secrecy that envelops the clinic. That night, she secretly follows to the bathroom and witnesses her going into labor. In a hushed panic, instructs Adana to lock the door before the baby arrives. The moment the infant's cries fills the air, the door is violently kicked open. Men storm in with a nurse, tearing the baby from arms, and in the chaos, Adana is knocked unconscious and dragged back to the hostel. Dr. Evans, the so-called humanitarian, who has a strict rule which states that makers must willingly surrender their babies to him. Resistance has sealed her fate. Without remorse, Dr. Evans injects her with a substance, ensuring her silence forever. Life ends before she ever has a chance to hold her child. The next day, everyone at the clinic acts as if nothing happened to Her child is quietly sold off to a wealthy couple, completely unaware of the grim fate that befell the baby's mother. If it isn't clear yet, the Evans Foundation is no charitable organization. Instead, it's a baby factory in disguise. Aki and Sharice continue their back and forth over the ethics of how they might get their baby. Meanwhile, Joy, persistent and nosy, lingers like a bad smell they can't shake off. She keeps paying hotel staff to feed her insatiable curiosity about the couple's private affairs. Adana, who is desperate for answers that Barbara refuses to give, decides that it's time to leave. After all, Barbara had promised she could leave whenever she wanted. But when Adana tries to go, she learns the hard truth. That promise was a lie. She is locked away in the room with the restraining table. While elsewhere, Ebel stumbles upon a flyer of from the trash and carefully slips it into her arm sleeve before bringing food to Adana. It becomes clear to Adana that Ebel has known the reality of this place all along but chose to lie to her. Ebu is very slow and depicts someone with a mental illness. He's been here for so long that the lines between captors and caregivers have been blurred. To her, Evans and Barbara are almost like parents, and this twisted prison feels like home. In the beginning, Evans and Barbara truly wanted to help women in crisis, but greed corrupted their intentions. As the story always goes, the line between right and wrong dissolved as they began selling babies and resorting to murder to protect their operation. Yet, between the two, Barbara is the weaker one. Her moral compass dulled but not destroyed. Charissa's torment over her childlessness becomes painfully apparent during a movie shoot when she clings to a baby on set, refusing to let go. Her emotional desperation drives her to consider abandoning acting altogether. Fearing the collapse of their career-driven lifestyle, Aki finally agrees to seek out Dr. Evans for help. Meanwhile, Adana is eventually released from her confinement, but her family photos are missing. As she searches, Ebon tries to help, but the flyer of falls from her arm sleeve. Adana's suspicions solidify. They are captives, not patients. Yet, to Ebu, this place is a twisted sanctuary. She ran from home at 12 after her mother's boyfriend assaulted her, and her own mother beat and blamed her. However, the streets nearly consumed her before Barbara found her. In Ebu's mind, this prison saved her. Charisse and Akin quietly arrived at the Evans Foundation, their desperation masked by discretion, but not discreet enough to avoid Joy's prying eyes. Joy uncovers their visit. Charisse and her husband, both twins themselves, hope to adopt twin babies. Seeing Charisse's desperation, Evans agrees to make this happen for them. Meanwhile, Adana begins to plot an escape. She shares her plans with Ebu in the toilet, but the idea terrifies Ebu and she refuses to be a part of it. A girl named Onyinye, who is cognitively slow and never speaks, emerges from the facilities. They are relieved as she is deemed harmless and unlikely she would say anything to anyone. Evans becomes aware of Joy's curiosity through the clinic's CCTV, but decides she is not a threat yet. Frustrated by Ebu's reluctance, Adana turns to another girl named Itunu, whose mind is also on escaping. In the cafeteria, a cook's phone rings, revealing a crucial detail. The cooks can leave the clinic, but the servers and makers cannot. That night, Evans orders Nurse Chinedu to impregnate Ebu once again, ignoring that she isn't ready to undergo another pregnancy again. He watches the assault menacingly. Barbara, powerless to stop it, resigns to her helplessness, even going so far as to submit to Evans in a twisted display of loyalty. The following day, Adana, determined to escape with or without Ebun's help, plans to hide inside the large laundry basket that gets taken outside. Aishat, suspicious of Adana's behavior, follows her. In a surprising turn, Ebu intervenes, distracting Aisha long enough for Adana to slip into the basket. As Adana settles inside, she's caught, but not by Aisha, by Itunu. Adana pleads with her, and Itunu chooses to stay silent, a silent accomplice to Adana's desperate plan. Joy quickly proves to be more trouble than Barbara and Evans anticipated. She shows up at the clinic, pressing Barbara for answers about Charisse's recent visit. Barbara dismisses her firmly before being alerted to a more urgent issue: Adana's attempted escape. Adana had almost made it out when the vehicle she hid in was recalled. She was discovered crammed into a basket. An incident Ify, snooping nearby, managed to capture on her phone before being chased off by Evans's hired thugs. Luckily, Joy appeared just in time to rescue Ify from their grasp. Evans has no tolerance for escape attempts, especially from Adana, the girl destined to bear twins. Yet, Adana's importance ties his hands. He can't punish her outright. Nevertheless, someone has to pay for this audacious act. In a sweeping punishment, all the women, including the non-pregnant staff, face harsh consequences. He refused to spare the rod. He also reduced their privileges and food rations, which resulted in resentment against Adana, with Aishat harboring the most bitterness. Amid the backlash, Ebu is hospitalized but remains loyal to Adana, her only true ally. Adana's relief is shattered when she returns to her bed and finds a note accusing Ebu of being a spy who ratted her out. True to his threats, the staff conducts a street search for contraband, and during the inspection, Adana discovers a knife planted among her belongings. A clear setup. When the staff are distracted, Itinu takes the knife and hides it. Disappointment flickers on the nurses' faces when the inspection turns up nothing. Outside the hostile environment of the hostel, Joy and Ify team up after discovering their shared connection to the Evans. Ify searching for her lost sister, and Joy pursuing a juicy celebrity gossip. They struggle to figure out how to support each other. Haunted by the note's accusation, Adana grows wary of Ebu. When she confronts her about the note, Ebu suggests it's a manipulation to turn them against each other, and just then, Adana experiences a sharp pain and is rushed to the clinic. Evans and Barbara are absent, attending an event unveiling Charisse as the ambassador. Joy, having sneaked into the event, disrupts it by revealing the true number of Charisse's miscarriages and hinting that her ties with Evans go deeper than mere advocacy, perhaps to buy the baby. When Evans finally checks on Adana, he finds nothing wrong and reassures her that her twins are safe, cautioning her against stress. Realizing she would be having twins, Adana was thrilled. Meanwhile, a larger issue brews. Akin contemplates pulling out of the adoption due to Joy's relentless harassment. Evans assures him that Joy will be handled, hinting at a bribe, but Barbara suspects a darker approach. Determined to unmask the traitor, Itinu suggests Adana tails Ebu, who frequently leaves meals unfinished and sleeps away mysteriously. Following her, Adana catches Ebu meeting secretly with Barbara. Later, when confronted, Ebu denies any betrayal, claiming she was pleading for their food rations to be restored. Despite her explanation, doubt lingers, and Adana doesn't know who to trust anymore. After taking a shower that night, Adana discovers a key accompanied by a note. A key to the side entrance gate. Still reeling from the day's events, she decides to bring Ebu dinner after she had skipped it, hoping to mend things between them. She tries to tell Ebu about the key, but Ebu doesn't want to hear it. Strangely, this convinces Adana that Ebu isn't the spy, because if she were, wouldn't she be curious? This realization solidifies Adana's trust, and she pleads with Ebu to escape with her. Before they can plan the next move, a nurse appears and takes Ebu to Barbara's office. Apparently, Evans and Barbara already suspect that Adana will attempt another escape. Pressure and caught between betraying her friend or her family, Ebu breaks down and reluctantly admits to Barbara that Adana had help. However, the guilt of losing Adana's trust once more is unbearable to her, and she later tells Adana they need to escape that night. Meanwhile, tensions escalate between Charisse and Akin, and in a heated argument, it's revealed that Charisse was the one responsible for the drugs that Akin had been taking the fall for, so their inability to adopt had been her fault all along. As Ebu and Adana prepare to sneak out, they are caught by Itinu, who begs to join them. Despite Ebu's reluctance, Adana pleads and they let her tag along. Carefully navigating past the guards and avoiding the CCTV cameras, they reach the gate. However, Itinu, heavily pregnant, starts making noise, drawing attention. It's then that they realize Itinu has been the spy all along. Desperate and betrayed, Ebu knocks her out. They push through the gate and they manage to flee just before the guards are alerted by Itinu yet again. In the meantime, Ify, who had initially separated from Joy, returns to her, struggling to make progress with the police and haunted by paranoia that Evans' men are following her. Joy offers her a couch to sleep on and orders some pizza. When the delivery arrives, Ify panics, convinced it could be Evans' men. Despite her fears, Joy reassures her. Yet, as Joy opens the door, she's shot. Shocked and terrified, Ify manages to grab a pan, knock the hitman out, and flee with his ringing phone. A call from who else but Dr. Evans. Adana and Ebu make it away from the clinic, but Adana goes into labor. Unable to continue, in desperation, she gives the flyer with MM's sister's contact to Ebu, urging her to escape and seek help. Adana is eventually caught, and though her babies are delivered safely, she is not allowed to see or hold them. A cruel punishment for attempted escape. Furious over the prison break, Evans strikes Barbara, accusing her of underestimating the situation. Morning comes, and Ebu, uncertain about her newfound freedom, finds no help from anyone. Adana, back in the hostel, faces the wrath of her mates, slapped, spat on, and blamed for everything. Her attempts to reveal Itunu as the spy and expose Evans and Barbara as the true enemies fall on deaf ears. Barbara, delighting in the chaos, watches the scene unfold from the CCTV before heading off to a fundraiser hosted by Charisse. To further manipulate her donors, she brings Onyinye along, using her as a pawn for sympathy. With nowhere to go and struggling to reintegrate into society, Ebon finds herself back near the clinic. Just before making the mistake of going inside, she recalls Adana's instructions to call MM's sister. Realizing the danger, she quickly leaves. Meanwhile, Ify, desperate and posing as Joy, makes her way to the fundraiser where she finds Charisse. In a hushed conversation, she reveals the grim truth. The Evans Foundation is a baby factory, and they were responsible for Joy's death. The moment is cut short when Evans spots her, and Ify quickly makes her escape. Shaken by the revelation, Charisse and her husband quietly leave the event. Back at the clinic, Adana begins piecing things together. She suspects Nurse Chinedu as her mysterious helper, the one who had slipped her the key. However, when she confronts him, he pretends and feigns ignorance, leaving Adana doubting herself. But her suspicions aren't far off. Onyinye had overheard everything. It turns out Onyinye has been faking her cognitive limitations all along, a deception that made Evans see her as a low threat and an easy target for his abuse. She reveals to Adana that it was her, not Chinedu, who slipped her the key. Onyinye's freedom to wander at the clinic unnoticed allowed her to overhear the staff's plans to harm Adana, pushing her to help. But before she said any more, someone comes in. Ebon somehow managed to reach out to Ify, and since she was the closest person who might have known MM's whereabouts, Ify listened intently. Unfortunately, what she heard was the devastating news of MM's death. Meanwhile, Charisse and her husband tried to distance themselves from Evans. They cautiously turn him down when he calls, but Evans isn't as dumb as they think. He reveals he had their babies, the exact thing he knew Charisse was desperate for. Back at the clinic, Onyinye leads Adana to the locker room, navigating undetected. They know it won't be long before Chinedu realizes Onyinye is the one helping Adana, so they need to escape. As they make their way through the halls, they disguise themselves as cleaners, slipping past guards, and just as they near the front exit, Adana freezes. She refuses to leave without her twins. Racing through the clinic, they search tirelessly through the nursery and Evans's office, but the babies are nowhere to be found. In a moment of desperation, Adana stumbles upon a gun, a weapon she hopes will give her the leverage she needs. Standing guard outside, Onyinye tries to stay alert, but her luck runs out. A guard spots her. Following Evans' strict orders to prevent any more escape attempts, the head guard shoots Onyinye dead. Ify, devastated yet determined, realizes their only way to fight back is through the truth. She and Ebon retrieve Joy's body, carefully dressing her and placing her in the driver's seat of her car, parked in front of the clinic. They drop damning evidence on the dashboard. Investigative findings detailing the clinic's crimes. Messages are sent out to reporters, and soon a chaotic crowd gathers. Police and journalists swarm the scene, and before the authorities can intervene, a reporter captures a photo of the incriminating documents. Seeing the chaos unfold and knowing Adana was the second escapee, Barbara rushes to her office only to find Adana holding her at gunpoint. Barbara agrees to take Adana to Evans, who is with her twins, at Charisse's hotel room. Ebon witnesses their departure and begs Ify to follow them. They arrive at the hotel and sneak past a distracted guard. In the hotel room, Evans is alone as Charisse and Akin are on their way back to the UK. Though Evans still hopes for their return, Adana threatens him with the gun, demanding her babies back. Evans counters, threatening to kill the infants if she doesn't drop the weapon. She reluctantly complies, and Evans instructs Barbara to give him the gun. As she prepares to shoot Adana, Barbara steps in front of her. Evans berates Barbara for her hypocrisy, and in the ensuing distraction, Ify and Ebon enter the room. Torn between loyalty and guilt, Barbara makes her choice, the only one Evans left her with. As he fires at Adana, Ebon leaps in front of her, taking the bullet to the stomach. The room erupts into chaos, and as Ebon collapses, Evans and Barbara escape, leaving behind the wreckage he had caused. Back at the clinic, more chaos reigns, with police swarming the halls, arresting staff members, and shutting down the baby-making operation. When Evans and Barbara arrive, the corrupt police chief, bought and paid for by Evans, advises them to destroy all the evidence in their office and flee the country. Their empire is crumbling, and their only chance of survival is escape. By some miracle, Ebul survived the gunshot, and Adana is finally reunited with her children, no longer alone. Ify, having found a new purpose, hopes to stay and help raise them. In a final act of betrayal, Barbara turns on Evans as they gather the remnants of their shattered lives. She tricks him into a room, locks the door, and stuffs papers at its base. Dosing them in petrol, she lights a match, setting it all ablaze. As the flames rise, Barbara walks away, leaving Evans trapped in the inferno he created. With that, folks, we come to the end of Baby Farm, a movie that shows how Adana's desperation for safety and Cheris's longing for a child led them into the manipulative grip of the Evans Foundation. While their desires cloud the dangers, Adana's courage to question her reality and trust allies like Onyinye and Ebul eventually bring her freedom. The story shows that while desperation can trap us, facing the truth and trusting genuine connections can lead to our rescue. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other videos. Like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, it's worthy of recap yet again.